So, if you're not aware, I write articles for Being Libertarian as a contributor, and I haven't gone through the comments in a while. And the comments are all through Facebook, so that's why I'm on Facebook here. I can't get rid of that chat thing at the bottom that won't go away, so you'll just have to deal with that. But I'm just going to go through the comments for my. Is it my most recent article? I believe so. Free speech, no exceptions. So just a standard free speech article just saying, like, hey, no exceptions. No exceptions for hate speech. No exceptions for, like, supposed false calls for violence. Only actual calls for violence, and so on. And basically just saying, yeah, we can't have exceptions because as soon as we start having exceptions for free speech, we go down the slippery slope. And I explain, like, when it comes to actually advocating for violence, the problem there isn't the speech, the problem there is the violence. So it's not really a free speech issue. The problem is the thing to be punished for would be the violence caused by what you said, not the fact that it's speech. But yeah, I'm going to go through the comments because there's two. Being Libertarian posted it twice, I believe. So I just wanted to go through the comments. And I will do so. All right, this is for the most recent post. If you want to know, I'll look at that there. That is the thumbnail I used. You'll see why it was probably a poor choice of a thumbnail because it looks like vandalism, but I found the best. I did a Google search and found the best thumbnail for one on free speech that was that had no kind of copyright thing on it. But yeah, you'll see why. So everyone has free speech, but there is always consequences to certain speech. If I tell my boss to F off, there will be the consequence of me looking for a new job. This guy's one of the few guys that actually understand it because, yes, like, I can criticize free speech. I'll take that back. I can criticize someone expressing their free speech, saying that, like, that's bad speech, like, it's bad that you said that, while still saying you have the right to say that. It's like why I support freedom of association. I think anyone has the right to turn down any customer for any reason. Now, if it's a bigoted reason, I can say, like, you're stupid, but you have the right. I think I can say it's a dumb decision. Like, again, like Dick's Sporting Goods, was it no longer selling guns or something like that? But they did something with no longer selling guns, and people are boycotting them. And it's like the business has every right to do that. The people have every right to boycott, but I can still take a side on that issue while still like understanding that everyone has that right. This is the motive for removing the Second Amendment. It is easier to punish and imprison defenseless citizens for saying mean or rude things if they have no means to defend their freedom of speech. Well, I don't think that's the primary motive, but it is certainly a motive, yes. I actually like that. Free speech as you spray paint on someone else's building. There's one of the things where you can tell the guy didn't read the article, but he thought that's what it was about because of the thumbnail, which if you didn't read the article, it's your own fault. You shouldn't be commenting on a post about an article, but what can I do? I suppose I could have picked a better choice for an article. Vandalism of other people's property is not free speech. Yeah, or I just read that one. Or no, I didn't. Yeah, there's a second guy that says the same thing. Interesting points. Still hate Nazis and Antifa, but this article gives fair points. Well, I mean, I hate Nazis and Antifa, but it's the thing where, like, that's why we need free speech. They can say their stupid things, and they will look stupid for saying them. Both Antifa and the Nazis will say stupid things, while I can say things that are legitimate as to why they're both stupid. That's the thing. Like, both of those groups are against free speech for a certain reason, because they know that as soon as they get power, they can't have people speaking up against them. But that's another article. But yeah, back to this is the original post here. Where do I get? There's my comments. For libertarians, any ideology, this is from my article, any ideology advocating an increase of state power is a violent ideology. For anarcho-capitalists, even minarchism can be labeled a violent ideology. While it is indeed true that minarchist governments are still governments, meaning that they still have their right to aggression from which to do harm to the liberty of others, the key fact in regards to anarchists is that historically no minarchy has ever lasted very long. For instance, according to Thomas Jefferson, our own American monarchy, I guess I meant to say, started going bad within 5 years, surpassing the oppression suffered under British rule. Keep in mind that the American monarchy failed, even with the government being at its smallest. I cannot talk today. Are today's minarchists, especially right-wing ones, willing to see their government, federal, state, county, city, smaller than it was in 1785? I'm actually curious to see what people say there. Oh, yes. 3 paragraphs can be overwhelming for some. I just read that. It takes nothing. But yes, he actually does bring up a very good point that it's like, I want the smallest government allowed. I don't know if anarcho-capitalism can work. But it is true that, like, once you create a government, it wants to grow. And we have yet to create a government that will not continue to grow and become tyrannical eventually. So that is a legitimate question, and I don't know how to answer that. It's stupid. I don't want to move over people's profiles. When people gather, government will form. Where government exists, they constantly seek more power and are more relentless than my toddler. Thus, large government is not only appealing to a lot of folks, but inevitable generally. Monarchism is the only position we can argue to convince people to limit their government in any meaningful way. Well, again, as the guy said earlier, like, it's like, once you create a government, it will want to make itself stronger. The nice thing about businesses is that when you create a business, it wants to grow, it wants to get stronger. But if it collapses, like, who does it hurt? I mean, plenty of other, if there's competition, plenty of other businesses will take their place. Not so good with governments. Yeah, please reread my comment, because I don't know what he contributed there, but it's still a good point. At least we aren't the UK, where free speech truly does not exist, and the courts can censor, fine, and or jail you. Enlighten me what I can say aloud or write today in the US that I can in the UK. There's nothing, but I'll wait. Yeah, pretty much, like, the US is the only country with an actual thing in its constitution that says freedom of speech, and that is, we have seen how important that is. I mean, it seems that the US right now is the only, like, free speech country, even though there are a few limits to that. But overall, it's I'm not saying other countries don't have free speech. I'm just saying not to the extent that we do. You have the right to free speech as long as you're not dumb enough to actually try it. I assume it means try to use it, but yeah, that's good. Try spray painting Rand Paul's house with your BS. Even RP knows the difference between free speech and property damage. Another guy that just looked at the caption, looked at the thumbnail and did not read the article. Again, I should have picked a better one, but he should read the article before commenting. Thanks to the walk away movement. Hey, I just did a video on that. The libertarian moment we have all been waiting for is right now. Unfortunately, the party has its head so far up its ass that it doesn't even realize the opportunities in front of them. That is true. That is so true right now. Free speech, unless you say a horrifying curse word, because a made-up sound that comes out of your mouth could be harmful to the children. I don't understand the point of that. Ivanka isn't. I don't get that. I must be missing something here. Free speech means free speech. It seems pretty clear, except to someone on the left. This is just that's all just trolls and that. As far as Constitution goes, it just means that the government can't censor you. It doesn't mean that private entities such as Facebook can't censor you. It is true in a strictly literal sense. Reprobates, including Facebook, have been using that imaginary loophole to suppress free speech since day one. They contend free speech is only for government and public spaces. Similar nonsensical but strictly literal interpretations have been used to suppress various rights to minorities and the general citizenry since day one as well. Facebook is a notorious offender, but nevertheless allows a modicum of free speech. Make fun of Christianity, but not Islam. Make fun of God, but not Allah. Entertaining at best, reprehensible at worst, but not strictly illegal. He does bring up an interesting point, because there's like two types of free speech from what I found out. Like there's the unjust type of, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. There's two types of free speech. You have in the legal sense of it is a violation of your rights for government to censor you, government to use force to censor you. Like government cannot do that. However, a private industry can. Now, the second type of free speech is more of a principle, like the spirit of it. Meaning if I'm a business and I censor, like if I'm Facebook and I censor my users and I'm obviously politically biased, yes, they have every right to do that. However, they're not upholding free speech as a principle, so therefore I can criticize them for that. I can say you are not upholding the principle of free speech. That is a bad thing. They are not like violating my rights, because again, it's their platform. But I can at least like criticize them for that, saying the principle of free speech is important for the like success. So I guess one is more legal and the other is more cultural. That might be a good way to put it. Free speech unless you post Rand Paul 2020 on a being libertarian post, then the world goes mad. That's something in the past that I must have missed. Do not confuse excessive government with anti-government. Government has its role and should be effective at it. Translation: sometimes you need to use. Okay, this is just going to be a big fight over anarchism versus minarchism, which is not the point of my article, so I'm skipping that. It's not clear to liberals, they don't agree with it, then it's okay to censor it. Or conservatives, I've heard countless conservatives say it should be illegal to desecrate the American flag. This page isn't being conservative or being liberal, this is being libertarian. Actual conservatives don't believe that, Frankie, random person who I've never met before. I should say people who claim to be conservatives. Ask some of your dudes you are in charge of to see what they say. My platoon shuns away any and all unrecognizable features of leftism. It's pretty strange, actually, and usually you... Oh, my God. Usually you have the token leftist. Okay. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, right-wingers do it, too. I don't think to the extreme that the left does it, and the left has the power right now. And I know you might say, like, oh, they have, the right has Congress, the presidency, the Senate. I'm talking institutional power, academic power. And that's the issue. That's why, I mean, they're the ones winning the ones most opposed to free speech at the moment. Like, the thing with the U.S. flag is, I'm all for burning the U.S. flag. I'm not, actually, I take that back. I'm all for making it legal to burn the U.S. flag. I'll say that. I'm all for making it legal. But when it comes to, like, the importance of free speech issues, the most important one is just being able to say something, honestly. And the most important is just being able to say something without being censored. And I guess, like, the flag is a powerful message. Burning the flag is a powerful message. So is the flag. But, yeah, honestly, just free speech all around. That's why I say no exceptions. Is that his personal property he's writing on? Someone else that didn't read the article. I like that the picture of the article is possibly of someone's property having been defaced. Yeah, not the best idea. Obviously, yes. Absolutely. Someone's just posting that. And then someone said, lost me at absolutists, which to that I say, why? Like, it's the same kind of a similar point as the guy who brought up minarchy. Like, it is true that as soon as we start bringing out a loophole, or as soon as we start coming up with exceptions, it can just go downhill from there. There are so many exceptions we got, and it's like, okay, if we added this exception, why not this one? It's like you use all the previous exceptions to justify a new exception, and that's the difficulty there. It's like, if we can be absolutist, then great. Like, I understand that not every situation we can be an absolutist, but when it comes to free speech, that's one of the few things where I'm like, yeah, absolutism. But I'm upset that the guy just saw the word absolutist and was like, no, I refuse to read any further or continue. So that's disappointing. Most relevant is selected, so some comments may have been filtered out. Stupid Facebook. I'm not going through all of that again and wasting people's time just to find those extra 3 comments. So let me know what you think in the comments. I will leave the article in the description. I encourage you to read it. I encourage you to like Being Libertarian because they are a fantastic website. They're the kind of media site I want. Obviously, I'm biased because I write for them, though it's like I write for them because I was biased, not I'm biased because I write for them. Because I started sending them stuff and they started publishing it, and I started sending them stuff because I like the site to begin with. And it is a good site. In my idea, that is the ideal media site because it's just a group of people publishing like their own thoughts in that. They don't collectively get together and are like, okay, like what opinions are we going to allow? What opinions are we going to censor? Like, it's just, if it's from a libertarian perspective, then they post it. And there are all kinds of things libertarians disagree on. Again, like classical liberals versus anarcho-capitalists, that's a pretty big spectrum there. And as long as you're within that spectrum, you can post stuff on here as long as it's well written. So send them an article if you want to publish. But no, it's a good site. I enjoy it. And obviously their bias is right in the title, so it's not like they're trying to hide anything. It's not like they're trying to be sneaky. That's what the title beinglibertarian.com says. It's like, I am fine with bias as long as it is very clear and it doesn't get in the way of truth. So, but yeah, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. I need to be doing more like responding to comment stuff for my articles because I'm getting a lot more comments there than on the videos, though. Who is it? Alternative Hypothesis, he's an alt-right guy with a bunch of subscribers, decided to take the time to comment a random insult on my channel. It was something like, nobody cares about you, and it's like, that is a badge of honor to me that I apparently bugged someone enough that they took the time to comment an insult on my page. And it's like, I don't respect him much to begin with, so it's like, that's cool to me. Like, to me, that's fine. Like, if there's someone I dislike, I want them to be bugged enough to give me a view and a comment that says I bugged them. So that's awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.